If you blinked, you might have missed it. While the biggest headlines in free agency are usually reserved for massive contracts and superstar signings, the Dallas Cowboys quietly made a move that could end up having a real impact on their defense. The Cowboys signed cornerback Kobe Durant to a one-year deal worth about $5.5 million, and the more you look at it, the more it starts to feel like one of those classic Cowboys value signings that ends up paying off in a big way. Now, at first glance, this might not feel like the kind of move that shakes up the NFL world. National media probably isn't rushing to break down film on Kobe Durant today. But if you follow this team closely, if you watch what the Cowboys try to do in free agency year after year, this signing fits their blueprint almost perfectly. Dallas loves finding productive players who bring experience, who can step in and help immediately, but who also come at a price that doesn't wreck the salary cap long-term. And that's exactly what this looks like. Durant originally came into the league as a fourth-round pick by the Los Angeles Rams back in 2022, and since then, he's quietly built up a solid resume. Over his career, he's played in more than 60 games and started nearly 40 of them. That's a lot of real NFL experience for a player signing a one-year deal in this price range. During that stretch, he's put together over 140 tackles, 7 interceptions, and more than 24 pass breakups. Those numbers tell you something important. This isn't just a depth body. This is a corner who has actually made plays on an NFL field. And some of those plays were big ones. Durant had multiple interceptions recently that really stood out, including a play where he essentially stole the ball down the sideline against Houston. Another highlight came when he read the quarterback perfectly, jumped the route, and took the interception back about 50 yards for a touchdown against Tampa Bay. Those are the kinds of moments that show a corner isn't just surviving out there, he's seeing the game, reacting, and turning defense into points. But what might matter even more than the highlight plays is the reliability he brings. This is a player who spent 4 full seasons with the Rams, a team that's been consistently competitive and regularly in the playoff picture. That means Durant has been playing meaningful football, not just garbage-time snaps on a rebuilding roster. When you're adding someone to your secondary, experience like that carries real value. And for Dallas, that value comes without long-term risk. It's a one-year deal. There's no heavy commitment. If Durant plays well, fantastic. You got a starting-level contributor for a bargain. If he ends up being more of a rotational or depth player, that still strengthens the roster in a big way. But here's where this signing becomes even more interesting when you look at the bigger picture. The Cowboys' cornerback room might not be as stable as it appears on the surface. There are talented players there, no question, but there are also some serious question marks that can't just be ignored. And that's where Kobe Durant might end up being more important than people realize. Before we go deeper into that situation, I want to hear from you. When you first saw the Cowboys sign Kobe Durant, what was your reaction? Did you like the move right away? Or did it feel like just another quiet free agency pickup? Go ahead and drop your first reaction in the comments, because Cowboys Nation always has strong opinions on these roster moves. And if you enjoy breaking down Cowboys news like this and want to stay ahead of every move the team makes, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The goal right now is to reach 17,000 subscribers, and every single member of Cowboys Nation who joins the channel helps push us closer to that number. Also, if you like these deep dives into Cowboys roster moves, hit the like button so the video reaches more fans who live and breathe this team just like you do. Because once you start looking closely at the Cowboys' cornerback situation, it becomes very clear why this move might have been more necessary than it first appeared. And that's where things get really interesting. The moment you start looking closely at the Cowboys' cornerback room, the real reason behind the Kobe Durant signing becomes crystal clear. On paper, it might seem like Dallas already had enough talent in that group. You hear the names, and it sounds solid. But the truth is, that room came into the offseason carrying a lot more uncertainty than most people wanted to admit. Let's start with the obvious name that every Cowboys fan knows: Darren Bland. When Bland is healthy and playing at his best, you're talking about a legitimate playmaker. This is a corner who has shown the ability to take the ball away and flip momentum in a heartbeat. Cowboys fans have seen the flashes, the instincts, the ability to jump routes and make quarterbacks pay for even the smallest mistake. But here's the uncomfortable reality the Cowboys had to deal with. Bland is coming off another foot surgery. And in the NFL, foot injuries for defensive backs are never something you just brush aside and assume everything will be fine. Cornerbacks rely on explosiveness, quick change of direction, burst out of their breaks. When a player is recovering from a foot issue, especially more than once, there's always that lingering question about how quickly they'll get back to full speed. And that's the key word here: questions. Then you look at the other major name in the room, Kalen Revel. There's a lot of excitement about his potential. Cowboys fans have every reason to believe he could develop into a really good player. But he's also coming off an ACL injury. Anyone who follows the league knows that coming back from an ACL tear is one thing. Coming back and immediately performing at a high level in the NFL is something completely different. That's why relying purely on hope can be dangerous in this league. Hope that a player recovers perfectly. Hope that the timing comes back quickly. Hope that the instincts look the same once the lights turn on and the speed of the game hits. Hope is not a roster-building strategy. And that's exactly why bringing in someone like Kobe Durant matters so much. The Cowboys needed another corner who has already proven he can survive and contribute in real NFL games. Durant has done that. 60-plus games in the league isn't an accident. Starting nearly 40 of them isn't luck either. That's a player who has earned the trust of coaches over time. Think about it this way. Even if Bland returns healthy and plays at a high level, and even if Revel comes back from the ACL and looks like the player the Cowboys believe he can be, you still need depth. Every NFL season becomes a war of attrition. Corners get hurt. Defensive backs miss games. Matchups force adjustments. At some point during the year, the fourth or fifth corner on your roster is going to see the field. Last season was a perfect example of that. Injuries hit the cornerback room hard, and suddenly Dallas had to rely on players who weren't originally expected to handle big roles. That's the reality of the NFL. Depth at cornerback isn't a luxury. It's a survival requirement, and this is where Durant fits perfectly into the equation. He gives the Cowboys something they didn't have enough of: a proven veteran option who can step in and start if necessary. Not just a practice squad body, not just a developmental player. A corner who has already handled meaningful snaps in big games. Even if everything goes right with Bland and Revel, Durant still strengthens the rotation. And if something goes wrong, suddenly that one-year, $5.5 million contract starts looking like one of the smartest safety nets the Cowboys could have added. But here's another interesting angle to this move that not enough people are talking about yet. Durant isn't just a typical outside corner. He brings something else to the table that could give the Cowboys coaching staff some real flexibility when they start building out their defensive packages. And that flexibility might end up being one of the biggest reasons Dallas targeted him in the first place. Before we get into that part, I want to hear from you again because Cowboys Nation always has strong takes on the roster. Right now, after the Kobe Durant signing, do you trust the Cowboys cornerback room more than you did before? Simple yes or no. Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, if you're part of Cowboys Nation and you want this channel to keep bringing you real conversations about every Cowboys move, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. The mission right now is to reach 17,000 subscribers, and every new subscriber helps build this community of fans who care about every detail of this team. Also, if you're enjoying the breakdown so far, hit that like button. It helps push this video out to more Cowboys fans who want to stay on top of what's happening with the team. Because when you start looking at where Kobe Durant might actually line up on this defense, things start getting even more interesting. One of the most interesting parts of the Kobe Durant signing is something that doesn't immediately jump off the stat sheet. It's not just the interceptions or the tackles or even the number of games he's played in the league. The real value might be in the kind of flexibility he gives the Cowboys defense moving forward. When you look at Durant's background with the Rams, he wasn't locked into just one role. He spent time playing outside corner, which is where he's probably most comfortable, but he also took snaps inside at the nickel position. That kind of versatility matters a lot in today's NFL, especially for a defense that wants to disguise coverages and adjust week to week, depending on the opponent. And the Cowboys have always valued defensive backs who can move on the football when a pass is thrown underneath. It's the kind of athletic ability that allows a defensive back to survive in multiple roles because he has the quickness to react. Outside, he can rotate with the other corners and provide insurance in case someone goes down. But if the coaching staff wants to experiment with him in the slot, that opens up another layer of flexibility. The nickel position has become one of the most important spots on the field in modern defenses because so many offenses live in 3 receiver sets. Having a player who can realistically compete for that role gives Dallas options. There's also the possibility of a competition forming in training camp. Maybe the coaching staff initially views Durant as outside depth, but if he shows the ability to handle the nickel responsibilities better than expected, suddenly he becomes part of that conversation. And when you create real competition at a position, that's usually when teams get the best out of their players. Another factor the Cowboys likely considered is how unpredictable an NFL season can be. No team goes through 17 games completely healthy, especially in the secondary. Corners are constantly asked to cover elite receivers, change direction at full speed, and react instantly to the ball. That wear and tear adds up quickly. When injuries hit, you don't want to be scrambling to find someone who can survive a few snaps. You want someone who has already proven he can handle meaningful playing time. Durant has done exactly that during his career in Los Angeles, where he regularly saw the field for a defense that was competing in high-pressure games. That experience becomes incredibly valuable when things get chaotic during the season. Even if Durant ends up playing fewer snaps than some of the other corners, the fact that he can step in at multiple spots means the Cowboys don't have to completely reshuffle the secondary if something happens. That type of depth quietly holds a defense together over the course of a long season. And when you step back and look at the price tag again, the move becomes even more appealing. A 1-year deal worth about $5.5 million for a defensive back with real starting experience, speed, versatility, and playoff exposure is exactly the kind of calculated move the Cowboys tend to love in free agency. It's not flashy. It's not going to dominate national headlines. But moves like this are often the difference between a defense that collapses when injuries hit and one that can keep functioning no matter what the season throws at it. Now the big question becomes how this signing fits into the Cowboys' overall plan moving forward. Because even after bringing in Durant, Dallas still has some major decisions to make when it comes to building out the secondary for the future. And that's where this move might actually become even more valuable than it already looks. But before we dive into that final piece of the puzzle, I want to hear your take on Durant's role. Where do you think he'll line up the most for Dallas this season? Do you see him mainly as an outside corner? Or do you think the Cowboys might experiment with him in the nickel role? Drop your prediction in the comments, because Cowboys Nation always has sharp instincts when it comes to these roster battles. And if you've been enjoying this breakdown so far, this is also the moment where you can really help the channel grow. If you're part of Cowboys Nation and you want more deep dives like this on every Cowboys move, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. The goal right now is to reach 17,000 subscribers, and every single fan who joins the channel helps push us closer to that milestone. Also, don't forget to hit the like button if you appreciate this kind of Cowboys analysis. The more support this video gets, the more the algorithm pushes it to other fans who care about what the Cowboys are building. Because when you compare this move to some of the risks Dallas has taken at cornerback in the past, the Kobe Durant signing starts to look like one of the smartest value moves they've made in a while. When you start comparing the Kobe Durant signing to some of the Cowboys' past moves at cornerback, the value becomes even clearer. Dallas has taken a few swings at this position in recent years, sometimes betting on potential rather than proven production. Sometimes those gambles work. Other times, they leave the defense scrambling when things don't go according to plan. That's why this particular move stands out. Durant isn't arriving in Dallas as a mystery project. He's not a player the Cowboys are hoping will finally figure it out. He's already shown what he can do at the NFL level, and that's a big difference when you're trying to build a stable secondary. Think about it from a coaching perspective. When you put a player on the field, you want to know what you're getting. With Durant, there's real film to evaluate. Coaches have seen him handle starting responsibilities. They've seen him line up against legitimate NFL receivers. They've seen him make plays on the football in high-pressure situations. That kind of resume is exactly what you want when you're adding depth to a position that already carries some uncertainty. Another reason this signing works so well is that it doesn't block the Cowboys from doing anything else. Dallas still has complete flexibility when it comes to the draft. If the front office decides that the best player available in the first round is a cornerback, this move doesn't stop them from pulling the trigger. In fact, it might make that decision easier. Imagine a scenario where the Cowboys draft a corner early. Suddenly, the room could include Darren Bland, Kalen Revel, Kobe Durant, and a first-round rookie competing for snaps. That's the kind of depth chart that gives a defensive coordinator options. Instead of hoping players stay healthy, you're building layers of protection at the position. And if the rookie takes some time to develop, Durant becomes the perfect bridge player. He can handle snaps while the younger talent grows into the role. That's one of the smartest ways to build a roster in today's NFL, pairing developing players with veterans who can stabilize the position in the meantime. What also stands out is Durant's ability to make real impact plays. Interceptions change games. They flip field position. They steal momentum. Durant has already proven he can do that. Multiple interceptions last season, including some in the biggest moments of the year, show that he has the instincts to find the football when it matters. That's the type of trait every defense is searching for. You can teach technique. You can coach positioning. But natural ball skills are something that separates good corners from average ones. Now, this doesn't mean the Cowboys' defense is suddenly perfect. There are still areas on the roster that fans will want to see strengthened. And it's fair to say that many people hoped Dallas would go bigger during free agency. That conversation isn't going away. But moves like this quietly matter. You don't build a strong roster only through blockbuster signings. Sometimes it's the under-the-radar additions that end up carrying the most value over the course of a season. When injuries hit, when depth is tested, when the schedule gets brutal in the middle of the year, those players suddenly become incredibly important. Kobe Durant might not have been the headline move Cowboys fans were expecting, but he might end up being one of the smartest pieces Dallas added to the defense. And now I want to hear your final verdict, Cowboys Nation. If you had to grade this signing right now, what would it be? Give it a letter grade in the comments. Is this an A-level value move, a solid B, or are you still waiting to see more before you're convinced? While you're down there, take a second to show some support for the channel. If you enjoy these conversations and want this community of Cowboys fans to keep growing, hit the like button so this video reaches more members of Cowboys Nation. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown as the Cowboys continue shaping this roster. And if you really want to help fuel the channel, this is your locker room moment. Cowboys Nation is what keeps this place running. If you want to hype the video, drop a super thanks, or just show support in the comments. It goes a long way toward keeping these daily Cowboys conversations going strong. Every like, every comment, every bit of support helps push us closer to the goal of 17,000 subscribers and helps build a space where Cowboys fans can break down every move this team makes. Because one thing is certain, the Cowboys are still building, the roster is still evolving, and there are going to be plenty more moves to talk about before the next season kicks off.